All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Planning Commission of the City of Moreno Valley. I now call this meeting to order on July 28th, 2022, right at 7 o'clock p.m. May we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Joanne Steffen,
Present.
Commissioner Omar Kobian,
Present.
Commissioner Jeff Sims,
Here.
Vice Chairperson Matthew Chen,
Here.
and Chairperson Alvin Duchesne.
Here.
Thank you.
At this time, Commissioner Sims will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand, face the flag, hand over heart, and repeat. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We are now going to move to the approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion and a second?
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Sims and a second by Commissioner Chen. Give a roll call vote.
We're going to go ahead and do the electronic vote.
Okay, all right, so at this time, we're going to go to the public comment procedure. During the public comment period for each item, as well as during the public comment period for the items not on the agenda, each member of the public who has signed up to speak will have a maximum of 3 minutes to speak. Any person wishing to address the commission on any matter, either under the public comment section of the agenda or scheduled items or public hearing, must fill out that doodad back there. Let's see, a request to speak form available at the door. The completed form must be submitted to the secretary prior to the agenda items being called by the chairperson. In speaking to the commission, members of the public may be limited to 3 minutes per person, except for the applicant for entitlements. The commission may establish an overall time limit for comments on a particular agenda item. Members of the public must direct their comments to the chairperson of the commission and not to other members of the commission, the applicant, staff, or the audience. Do we have any speakers?
We haven't received any slips at this time.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, all right. This is my first time, y'all. Hey, thank you. My name's Garrison Paulsgrove. I'm the,
Hang on just
Nope.
1 second. We have a timer and we'll get you started there in just a second.
We have Garrison Points 4.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. There's your.
good, okay. I'm the lead pastor of Discovery Christian Church, that church right there that is the, it borders where all the houses are being built. And it was,
This would actually be public, it sounds like a public comment relative to the item on the agenda this evening, sir?
yes,
Okay, this is for just general comments for items not on the agenda.
Not on the agenda.
this is on the agenda.
So this
This is
yeah,
not me then.
so it'll be in just a few minutes after we go through a few presentations. Then we'll have public comment for item on the agenda.
All right. Thank you. Do we have any speakers for items not on the agenda?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you. The consent calendar. The next item on the agenda is approval of the consent calendar. All items listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine and non-controversial and may be enacted by one motion unless a member of the commission requests that an item be removed for separate action. Items withdrawn for report or discussion will be heard after the public hearing items. Questions or comments from the public on the consent calendar matter are limited to 3 minutes per individual and must pertain to the subject under consideration. Do we have any public comments?
No, sir.
Let's see. So we move on to the minutes of the July 14th, 2020 Planning Commission. May I have a motion to approve the consent calendar in a second?
Motion. I'll second.
And Stefan. All right, looks like the motion carries. The next item on the agenda is non-public hearing items. Looks like at this time we don't have any items. So we're going to move on to the public hearing items. Item number 1, the applicant has requested approval for the following entitlements: conditional use permit for planned unit development, and number 2, tentative tract map 38236 to subdivide a 26.74 acre site into 204 single-family residential lots in the downtown center district. Can we have a staff report?
The presentation this evening will be made by contract planner Louis Lopez.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the Planning Commission. The item before you is a conditional use permit and tentative tract map to subdivide 26.74 acres of vacant land into 204 single-family residential lots in a planned unit development with a public park site. The entitlement includes the adoption of a CEQA mitigated negative declaration and monitoring program. After the staff report was published, staff received 2 letters in response to the CEQA document, which were provided in a memorandum at the dais prior to the meeting. The comments are general in nature. The California Department of Fish and Wildlife recommended a rewording of one of the mitigation measures. That's measure bio-3 in their letter, and staff is in agreement with that rewording. The subject site is made up of 4 contiguous parcels located at the southwest corner of Alessandro Boulevard and Oliver Street in the downtown center district. This exhibit is from the PUD document, and it shows all of the plotting of the homes, the location of the park site, and the conceptual landscaping for the project. There's a color coding to the home sites indicating the 2 product types that are proposed. The northern half of the community will have homes ranging in size from 1,575 to 1,900 square feet on a minimum lot size of 2,600 square feet. The southern half of the community will have homes ranging in size from 1,775 to 2,384 square feet on minimum 3,600 square foot lots. Designated guest parking areas are generally dispersed throughout the community and in the vicinity of the park, as street parking within the internal private streets will be prohibited. Each lot also has a design with a 2-car garage and driveway that can accommodate 2 additional vehicles. Additionally, the subdivision map will dedicate public streets, including an extension of Brodea Avenue on the south. In the general plan, that's envisioned to connect westerly to Nason. And then 3 new public streets, streets A, B, and C, that will connect Alessandro Boulevard with Brodea. The PUD document establishes minimum development standards for the home sites, and those include things like minimum lot size, setback requirements, height limits. They also have design guidelines as shown on this exhibit. All of the homes will be two-story construction with attached garages, and they will be offered in a variety of elevation types and color schemes. The PUD document further has design guidance for the common area improvements. Those are the, for example, parkside amenities, the perimeter fencing, the entry monument signs. This exhibit shows the details of the park site, and some of the amenities include the tot lot, the gazebo structure with picnic tables, outdoor play field, seating benches, and a variety of shade trees. In conclusion, based on the findings and conditions of approval in the staff report, staff is recommending that the Planning Commission approve this project by adopting resolutions number 2022-35 and 36 as contained in the agenda packet. That concludes my presentation, and we would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. With that said, are there any commissioner questions for staff?
I have a couple short questions. Is this under an association? Will it be under association?
Yes, it would be, because they have private streets and
Okay.
private amenities. The park site will be maintained by the city's special districts, because it is a public park site.
That's interesting. Why wouldn't the association maintain and manage that park when there's no really public parking? Why would the city have to pay for that park when nobody outside of that area would even be able to use that? I'm just curious. Why is the city allowing that?
So staff's worked, we don't have anybody from Parks and Recreation here this evening. But ultimately they are providing the park at, based off of the number of units that they have. There's a requirement under what's called Quimby law, whereby they are required to actually provide park facilities when they exceed 50 units in a development. So there's either an in lieu fee or there is a park dedication requirement. In this case, they are doing a combination of the two. They're dedicating a 1.8 acre park, and then they're also going to be paying some fees as well. So that's actually a requirement of the development. Parks and Rec did review this based off of its location and the needs that will occur in the area as it continues to develop. This site is well suited for it based off of their review.
Okay. My second question was how big the park is, but you answered that. A follow-up question, is there a playground? I don't see a playground at all. I just see an open field. Like,
There will be a tot lot proposed as part of this, and ultimately the final design will be worked out between the applicant and the Parks and Recreation Department to establish the final design.
okay.
So because it's going to be maintained by the city, will it be available for use by city programs, youth sports to be rented out?
Yes.
Okay, so
And also the other thing I would note is that ultimately this will be annexed into our special districts, special financing districts for maintenance as well. So that's the other thing. So these residents will be paying into those finance districts for the maintenance of this park facility long term, which again will be maintained by the city.
okay. And how many street parking spots are in there? Do we know? Is it going to be enough to handle residents, visitors on a weekend plus, youth sports or anything else that's going on in that community?
The park site was strategically located adjacent to the public streets, the three collector streets, to maximize the availability of public parking.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead. So are these gated? Or is this a gated? These are gated. Okay. And so this is going to be an HOA, correct? And what was this is downtown, what's the zoning on this again?
Downtown center,
So I guess that's a new one for us. So I think this is the new, I don't recall one coming through with this. So this is.
The DR Horton actually has already done one other for, as part of the city. It was at Alessandro and LaSalle, which they also provided a park at that site as well.
Okay.
The northeast corner of that intersection. That was the first downtown center. This would be the second.
Okay.
So there's been one more.
So I guess my question is regarding the parks. I think it's great. You know, it's probably this will probably be more of a park use, centrically used by the neighborhood. But anyhow, that's fine. It takes pressure off the other parks that other people use, so that's fine. At the end of the day, but the question I have is what's the drive? I've started looking through the PUD thing, the standards. What's the depth from the curb to the front setback for the driveways? Is it 20 feet or 22 feet, something like that?
19 feet, I believe.
So I guess a couple of questions is, does the downtown zoning allow off lot parking? Except for these areas designated for parking?
I believe street parking is allowed on the public streets, Brodea and streets A, B, and C, but within the private street subdivision, it will basically be a fire lane, so they won't be able to park within the street except within those designated areas.
Okay. I would assume that, yeah, because these are substandard, I should say substandard, but they're not public streets, so they are going to be tight, a little bit more constrained. So it would be difficult at best if there was parking on the street. So and as an HOA, with how tight this is there going to be a requirement in the HOA? You may not know this. The developer may have to answer this when it's time, but are there going to be a requirement that the cars have to be parked in the garage at night and not on the this is going to, I mean, this is tight, you know, this is going to be a very tight little neighborhood, a big neighborhood with very tight compaction. And so I have a property over in Sun Lakes. It's a senior, but so they have the rules are the rules and they will be strictly enforced over there. But you can't park your car in your driveway unless you get a permit to do that for a temporary basis. You have to park your car in the garage, and it really keeps the neighborhood tip top. So I would hope that that's the case.
Commissioner Sims, when the applicant has a chance to come up to speak, one of the things that could be asked of them is whether or not they would be open to accepting a condition on their CCNRs requiring that the vehicles be parked within the garages.
Yeah, it keeps it very clear. Okay.
So
And then
that's,
the other thing is since this is not a gated community per se, you know, with access, I think it's called Anthony Street. There's a single loaded, I think that's a dirt road, but on Anthony off of Cactus. Is the developer conditioned to have improvements on Brodea to that dirt to the intersection there, so that there would be an ability for connectivity between Cactus up to Alessandro?
I will defer that to Public Works staff.
That's all I have.
Good evening. This is Clement with Land Development Division. The Brodea Avenue improvements, the limits of those improvements are along the south property frontage. So that's basically from Oliver, about 600 feet west of Oliver. So it's short of the intersection of Anthony.
So there's no tapers or anything to.
It basically dead ends at the intersection of Brodea and C Street, their west boundary line. It'll be a T intersection.
Is there any traffic on Brodea right now, or is that just a field?
It's just a field,
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Bet you there will be from as soon as that is, if it's not conditioned to build one right now.
Yes. Yeah, it's in the general plan to extend westward to Nason Street. Yep.
My question, I'll just jump in real quick, is because the park is going to be maintained by the city. Will the park fall under the city's jurisdiction for code enforcement? Meaning, will the park close like the other parks, like at 10 o'clock p.m.?
Yes.
Okay, so will code enforcement will go in there? Okay. That's the only question I had.
On this kind of density, is there any enhanced fire department requirements for, closer spacing on the hydrants or with the smallest streets, there'll be turnarounds or whatever to be able to, there's plenty of access?
I'll refer that to fire prevention.
Where we're not able to turn around in a manner like a cul-de-sac, we would have hammerhead turnarounds. Those would be required. We have to make sure that the fire access is clear for fire engines to pass. So that's what the width is going to be maintained for. But as far as the fire hydrants, they're all based on the construction type and size of each home individually. So they wouldn't be, there would not be additional hydrants for this project.
Is the fire flow requirement the same, or these will all be sprinkled so they don't have a big?
Correct. They would be fire sprinklered, and the fire flow wouldn't change based on the
Okay.
density.
Any other commissioner comments or questions of staff? No? Okay. At this time, would the applicant like to speak?
Good evening. It's nice to see you guys in person again. It's been quite a while for me. My name is Megan with DR Horton, and I just want to say thank you for being here and for reviewing this project. I'd like to say thank you to city staff for putting in all their time and efforts to help me get this project to where it is today. We think it's a wonderful community, and we're excited to build it and bring new residents for the city. I'm here to answer any questions.
Yes, at that point, are there any commissioner questions for the applicant?
I would be interested to know if DR Horton would be willing to put some kind of restriction or deed restriction or whatever. I'm not an attorney, but that would have a requirement that there would be no overnight parking in the driveways, and all vehicles would have to be parked in either a designated off-site parking area or in the garages.
Typically with our HOA, we do include in the CCNRs that are given to the homeowners that their garage is required to stay clear for parking for all time, so that their overflow is not in their driveway. We do allow the 2 cars in their driveway if they do have children or multiple cars in 2. But typically we do have requirements that the garage is kept clean for that purpose.
I guess I have a more clandestine plan because of the ADU rules that the state has hamstrung. All the cities allows ADUs, junior ADUs in the garages. I think if there was a requirement, a condition by the city to disallow parking in the driveway, and the cars have to be parked in the garage, it would be difficult to create a junior ADU in the garage. So I would think that the city should condition new projects where it's possible that the HOA requires that there is no driveway parking overnight.
Chair Sims, I would note that ultimately, even if they came in and said, I want to build an ADU in my garage, state law preempts us from prohibiting that. And the parking requirement, based off of the CCNR, would ultimately be preempted as well.
So I guess my question is, what?
Here's your question.
I guess this is just for, then why even have parking in the offsite parking provided in the subdivision? I mean, that's a rhetorical question. It's ridiculous to ask for it because 100 of these homes could go do junior ADUs and it's just going to be a cluster. And then I guess, and not a rhetorical question, I direct this to the city attorney. What if in these private streets, they become clustered with cars parked because there's no place to park? How does the fire department get through because there's no parking?
Well, we should
Or
have
no
minimum
access.
width requirements for streets that meet the fire code. And if there's any issues with respect to not enough parking or too many people parking on those private streets, then the homeowners remedy is to deal with their homeowners association. But there should be sufficient turnaround for the fire trucks,
What
even taking into account parking on the streets.
what are the private street widths from curb to curb?
On this project, it's 26 feet.
Okay, so what's the car width?
So we do not allow on-street parking in this
Oh,
development.
but that's neither here nor there. I'm on my ADU kick right now. So everybody goes, so you have 200 homes, 100 of them go and build junior ADUs. Where are these people going to park? They're going to park on the street. So you take 26 feet minus 9 feet for what's the width of a car? 7, 8? I don't know. Anyhow.
This HOA will establish a monitor system where they will monitor the streets on a daily basis and have a tow company in line and on call to come and tow any vehicle that is parked in the red zone or on the streets in this case.
I'm done. I'm exhausted.
Okay, I find it a little hard pressed to even imagine that nobody can park in their driveway.
They can park in their driveway.
Well, I thought Sim said that.
Oh, no, I tell you, there's a development in Banning just 16 miles from here. There's 3,300 homes. You cannot drive in that neighborhood and find one car in the driveway.
Well, at this time, just
I'm just,
questions for the applicant.
okay, I'm
Right.
just saying that these are going to be family homes, they're going to be for families. Most people don't just have two cars, especially, let's face it, if somebody's got a teenager or whatever, where are they going to park their car if they can't park it in the driveway? Because like Sim said, they want them in the garage.
Well, right now we don't have a restriction for that, so we do allow the 2 cars in the garage, and the HOA will monitor the garages to make sure that they're
But
clear.
isn't there frontage
parking.
isn't there frontage, like cement frontage before you even go into your garage? They
It's a
can't park.
driveway. It's a
Well, can they
standard
park
driveway.
out there?
They can, yes. It does allow for 2 parking cars in their driveway also.
Okay, that was where I was kind of confused because he was talking about Sun Lakes, and I can understand that that's a retirement community. We're talking family homes, though.
Questions,
of us don't-
questions for the applicant?
Yeah, so these are family homes, and that's what I was wondering. I was kind of getting confused as to, they couldn't park in their driveway. So now you're saying they can, because you can't park in the street. They're going to end up
Correct.
getting towed, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes,
and
we
that-
allowed 2 in the garage and 2 in the driveway is what and then we have the overflow. We have 122 spaces of overflow throughout the community, and that includes 19 handicap stalls also.
Okay, yeah, because I know they're having a lot of problems, especially like he says, this is really tight. So that's a big issue, is the parking most of the time. Whether you do an apartment building or you do single family homes, a lot of people just, they're getting tired of being the tow tickets.
Understood.
So we shouldn't have to punish those people. Okay.
I have something. Go ahead. I see it's, how many, 220? You said 220 homes?
206.
206 homes. That's a lot of homes, a lot of work. As far as the build, the construction of it, I have heard that a lot of developers, especially residential developers, don't tend to have any kind of apprenticeship program or now with more and more kids going into college debt, they need an outlet. They need something different to do in the trades. I'm a big person in regards to trades. I want to see that our youth has something to do besides just hang out and burn rubber, do donuts by my neighborhood, So what commitment is DR Horton doing to make sure that they're involving youth and and giving a pathway for high school graduates into maybe, because DR Horton, you guys are a general, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So what commitment are you guys making to the youth of Moreno Valley?
Well, we do hold, we're very open to going out and speaking to the youth, and we do hold job fairs at colleges, different colleges around Riverside, San Bernardino counties. And we do
Colleges, but
invite-
what is it? What is
Well,
it?
we
What
actually
positions are
would-
those? Are those the
Sorry?
what positions would a college graduate look for? I'm talking about the actual workers.
It's not necessarily for just the college graduates. That's just where we hold them. Is that anybody's invited to come and attend them? We fly the flyer or post it around, so anybody's welcome to come in. It's just not for college
And
students.
when's your guys' next job fair?
No, I'm not. I think with COVID, it probably got postponed. But actually, Alyssa, if I could point to her, Alyssa is actually was hired at one of those job fairs.
Okay.
And so she's the project.
I don't see
manager also.
construction bags on her, so I'm just
No,
curious.
I didn't bring any of my construction bags, but so it is a great program, and we've been doing that for many years. We're very open to bringing.
You guys have
anybody
anything in
on.
writing, something we can look at that ensures that you can have a certain percentage of, let's say, what's your track record to make sure that you guys have anything?
I
you
don't
guys
have
have
that information. to
What's
be
your
quite
starting
honest.
wages, anything like that?
I could probably
You think a
provide.
general contractor that's does billions of dollars in work can't have some sort of program to make sure that the youth is taken care of? I mean, what are we doing here? Because those homes are very expensive. So I'm just curious. I'm not, I'm going to keep asking because I see D.R. Horton does a lot of homes, but I don't see anything being
And
done
to
for
be quite
the
honest
labor.
with you, I don't know if we already have, high school students or graduates on the site. I'm not involved in that department, so I don't know, but we could actually have, workers currently on all of our projects. So I don't know the answer to that, but.
So that's the answer is no then. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Okay.
So since we have a pastor from Discovery Church here, I'm sure that he's going to speak on the issue. Have you spoken to the neighbors in the area and found out what their concerns were with the project going forward, or how to address any of the things in the neighborhood that might be concerning?
When we will do an outreach program when we after we get done here and before we'll start actual grading and going through the approval process with the plans, we do an outreach, go around the neighborhoods and speak to the different residences.
So essentially, you get approved tonight, whatever the grievances are of the community aren't really gonna matter because right? Because if it gets approved but they don't, the community doesn't like something, then will you be willing to change those things and work with them? Or is it kind of, hey, we got approved for this and that's how it's going to go forward?
Well, we
Is it
don't
even
ever like to
worth
take
it?
that approach, but we will, if it is approved tonight, and if they do have some issues or concerns that we can address and work with them on with the approved plan, which we do, we do tons of outreach for all residences and communities. So it's probably not something new that comes up, and we tend to work well with the residents and keep them informed of our development schedules. And so the answer is no, we will not go back and change something unless it's dramatic, but we will work with them definitely to ease their concerns and issues.
Okay.
I'm going to jump in here. So normally, before you even do a project, you usually reach out before, not after, to see what the concerns are. So that way you know that your project more or less will go forward. And as far as my colleague, I think what he's asking is if there's any kind of apprenticeship programs that you guys have for the young kids, because I know there's quite a few that are out of high school and are looking for that. They did go to the employment center and we're looking to see if there was any apprenticeship programs. I have 2 kids right now that are doing assessments to see where they would land, and but I think that's what my colleague was kind of trying to do, because you guys are a big corporation and you are putting a huge project here with a lot of houses, and we don't want to admonish you for it, but so usually you go out and do that before, the project is actually approved, because we get a lot of flack from our residents sometimes. And we'd like to know exactly where they stand having a project like this as their neighbors. So that's just, I don't mean to, be harsh about it or anything, but I think that's the thing. When we do allow a project this large to come in, and they are going to be making a lot of money in our community, we'd like to know if there's any give back at all.
Understood.
I have a question. Sure. It's just out of curiosity, that some of the exhibits, the entitlement being cited is after track 38236, but then some of the pictures and, exhibits show, my eyes are bad, but I think it's 38237. And so I just, is there, I guess.
Commissioner Sims, I'll jump in on that one.
Okay.
So we have two, there is a second map that DR Horton is currently processing with the city that is separate from this application that's before you this evening. That map requires additional entitlements that will ultimately come before both this commission, and will actually go before the city council as well, depending on the recommendation of this commission. So
the city is just trying to get more application fee. I just joking.
there are additional entitlements required of that application that were not required of this one, which is why the two were ultimately bifurcated by the applicant.
Okay. Okay, I appreciate that. And then this isn't for the applicant. I guess this is, I didn't go to the speed reading class, so there's two letters in this. There's a Department of Fish and Game, and there's a flood control. So can we get the cliff notes of what both the letters said, as far as these are given to us at 3 minutes before the meeting? So it's
those
hard
were
to
the
read
letters
this.
that we received after the CEQA public notification ended. And so when we received those, the flood control letter basically is just standard comments that they give for projects. And with CDFW, we had to do a DBES with them for
What was that term?
the DBES. What is
Determination of superiority and environmental design. Basically,
All right.
there's a
never
wa-
mind.
there's a
It's a-
wa-
it's
there's
a
a wa-
biological.
there's
It's a state
there's
thing.
there's
All
there
right.
it's a state, it's a
for the MSHCP for the Western Riverside.
Yeah.
And so basically it's a biological as well as a waters issue. And so basically what DR Horton did is they did some mitigation for some impacts that they were impacting for waters of the state, and which is with CDFW. So they have to get a stream bed alteration agreement. And as part of that, they have to offer mitigation. And so what CDFW, what they did is they reworded the mitigation measure. Instead of saying a 2-to-1 ratio for mitigation, they just wanted the acreage in instead. And that's all it is. It was just a rewording of it.
So there is a waters of the U.S. on this, or
There's no waters of the U.S. It was just waters of the state.
Oh.
So CDFW took jurisdiction.
Okay.
So that's all it was. And it was a small number of acreage.
So it is the conditions that we're looking at tonight reflective of the requirement.
The condition, as staff stated, as Louis stated, is that staff is in agreement to what CDFW has proposed for the rewording of that mitigation measure. And so it will be revised in the mitigation monitoring reporting program, which the commission will, that we're asking the commission to adopt.
Okay, so we're gonna, if the project it goes for approval, it's with the mitigation, but it'd be subject to a staff modification.
We would have to put the mitigation measure, the revised verbiage into the program. And then it would just be the revised program. It would just be that mitigation measure, which is Bio 3 in the mitigation monitoring program.
And this,
so when you get to your point of vote, you'll say, and mitigation measure as recommended by CDFW. Modify the
CDFW.
mitigation monitoring program as recommended by CDFW.
so for flood control, it's just
There was no other mitigation or anything that they wanted. It was just standard conditions.
just pay money, make sure the flood. Okay, all right.
Yes.
Okay, submit your plans to us, all of those statements that
Okay.
they traditionally make. Yes.
All right.
Okay.
I think I'm exhausted again.
I got one more. I'm not tired yet.
Okay, DR Horton, since I think we discussed, you guys are a general contractor you guys have multiple subcontractors. What are you guys doing to make sure that like the city of Moreno Valley is not getting, there's a lot of tax fraud out there as far as illegal activity, meaning tax, cash pay with subcontractors happens on a regular basis. Does DR Horton have any kind of certified payroll? Are they ensuring that their subcontractors e-verify every worker? And do you have records of that? The reason why I ask, because with workers not being e-verified, that opens a window for workers being exploited on a regular basis and being paid cash under the table. And I have heard of residential contractors like yourself taking that, using that as their advantage to bring the cost of labor down. So, I mean, is DR Horton doing anything about that? Have you guys heard of that?
Mr. Chair?
You're asked.
I was
Although
going to add.
these kind of questions can be asked and the applicant's certainly welcome to respond to them, I encourage the commission to stay focused on the planning issues. But again, you can ask the questions and they can ask if they want to. But we just have to make sure that we stay focused on the planning issues wherever we end up at the end of the night.
Okay, I have a nice one, a nice question. A refreshing question. I know that they all have to have solar.
Correct.
Are you doing anything else besides just the solar to make it more eco-friendly for the environment?
Definitely. Yeah, we follow pretty strict building codes within California. I believe we're building these to the 2021 or 2022 building code, and they have extreme measures for efficiency.
Like the faucets and all that. I'm a stickler for that when we have something come into the city now because of all the climate change and everything else. I mean, I wish builders would just go above and beyond. I don't like them just going whatever the 2022. I mean, we got to get to a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
And
they're pretty strict now, and they're just going through another update. So yeah, we understand.
I know you guys have to adhere by that, but when you do something, if you go above and beyond, for me, I think it just makes it a little better because, that's why we're having a lot of issues with people building any kind of type of buildings or anything. And I think if they had just put the board a little thicker, strap it a little better, Okay, that's my question.
I think I heard you say this already. You said that because we're concerned about parking and the overflow of parking that spill out into the streets. Apartment complex, large housing ends up with visitors. And you said that the garages have to be maintained in order that parking could take place at all times within the garage.
Yeah, the HOA in their CCNRs that the homeowners will receive when they purchase the homes and multiple other documents that they receive. In there, we will have a requirement that their garages are kept clear and not cluttered with storage boxes or whatever. So they can use the garage. They should use the garage as their first parking. So it'll allow for 2 cars to park.
Okay.
Yes.
Are there any other commissioner questions for the applicant that pertain to the project? All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it. At this time, we'll now open the public testimony portion. The clerk will call upon each person who has requested to speak. Each member of the public wishing to speak will have a maximum of 3 minutes to speak on an agenda item. Do we have any public comments?
Yes, we have Garrison Poisvor. Sorry if I said that wrong.
Three minutes? I'll wait for the clock. Or do I just go?
Media, if you could please change the screen.
I don't know if this is on the agenda or not, but this is non-agenda stuff, right? Or maybe, I don't know. Good to go. Well, there is the median that's on Alessandro is going to be blocking the entrance to our church off of Alessandro. And I would just beg I don't know who I have to talk to. I think it was maybe I know the plans may have been approved a while back. But now that I see the median on Alessandro going in front of it's going to be blocking the left-hand turn into our main entrance to our church off of Alessandro. So anybody coming east of our church who goes down Alessandro, they're going to have to go down Oliver, and then take a left on Oliver, and then go into our entrance on Oliver Street, which is going to make that whole street just crazy, especially on a Sunday morning. Or they're going to go down Alessandro, and they're going to take a U-turn right there at Oliver and Alessandro, and it's going to be crazy getting into our church on a Sunday morning, and it's going to cause extreme congestion. Got the sprinklers going. Got the sprinklers? Yeah, sprinklers. It's definitely not raining. So I would just please reconsider. This is probably not the hearing for this. I don't even know, but I'm new to the area. I've only been here just a year, and so I see the median coming in the middle of Alessandro, and the more we grow as a church, the more just congested that intersection in Oliver and Alessandro is going to become, and it's already small as it is. And if there's not a turning lane into our church off of Alessandro, it's going to get crazy. And it's, the more and more people come to our church, the more difficult it's going to be. So I don't know if this is obviously even the meeting for this, or who I need to talk to. Maybe y'all can help me, direct me to the people to talk to, or maybe it's another time, or set up an appointment or whatever. But please, please, please do whatever we can to prevent this from happening. Love the houses, more people the better. Bring them on. Hopefully all come to our church. But just that intersection is that median that's coming through. It's going to block our entrance. It's going to be devastating, and it's going to be crazy congestion.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. We're in public testimony. Do we have any other speakers?
We have not received additional speaker slips.
Okay. Would the applicant like to provide any additional information?
Chair, before we move to the applicant, I'd like to address the comment from the speaker real quick.
Certainly.
The median that's currently under construction is associated with the existing residential development that's actually occurring to the east of the church site. So what we'll do is we'll have, I'll work with our public works staff to speak with Mr. Garrison and establish exactly what's occurring with those street improvements associated with that existing project that's under construction.
I see. Okay. Thank you. So then would the applicant like to provide any additional information at this time? All right. Well, at this time, if there are no more speakers, and we'll close the public testimony portion, and we'd like to move into deliberations. Commissioners.
I'll go. I love housing. I love that, our city's growing. We need affordable housing. We need, as many of you guys have said, empty land. Something's going to be built. So it's, I'm always excited to see proposals for housing coming up, and especially quality housing like this. I'm just concerned about, parking and just Commissioner Sims. I get what you're saying about wanting to keep cars inside the garage, but I mean, it's tough. I got 4 sons, and we have bikes and basketballs, and one's 13, so he wants his weights, and all, and you just can't park a car in there. I understand the older community who are downsizing and getting rid of things can definitely do so, but but younger families, families that I think are going to be buying these 2-story houses aren't going to be able to park their cars in the garage every day and maintain everything that goes along with the family. But I am concerned about the parking, about the emergency vehicles getting in and out. If this park is open, and it's closed, who's going to be maintaining those? I guess the people who park alongside in the middle of the night, and with communities brings different things. So I'm just concerned about having this many homes condensed with such little parking, with the park open to the city, and then we got that church right there. I want to make sure that that church is taken care of, and cars aren't parking there in the middle of the night to do things and leaving. So I'm concerned with that street. Which street is it? Rodea going all the way through, connecting to Anthony, or not connected to Anthony, as an outlet. So I don't know. There's a lot of things here. What I'm most concerned about is that the applicant didn't reach out and talk to the community that is impacting prior to tonight, and that's where I am concerned, because I don't know the impacts that it's going to have on the residents already there during construction, if they're okay with it. We heard one applicant, but what about all those who weren't aware that this project is going in? So
I'll go next. I think since I've been on the planning commission, residential housing, I've never even blinked an eye. There's a lot about this project that just when I look at that floor plan, when I look at the layout, and that park in the middle and how condensed it is, I have a lot of concerns. I have concerns with the fact that there was no discussion. None of the neighbors know what's going on in that area. I have concerns about some of the practices that go on in these type of projects. I have concerns. So I don't know. I got a tough decision, but I've never even thought twice in the past. But I think moving forward, for the people of Moreno Valley, it's time to say, hey, what are we doing for us? We're letting a lot of developers come into the city of Moreno Valley, and the city's not getting anything in return. And that goes for everything, not just residential, but commercial, and I'm a big proponent of growth. I approve almost everything, but it's time that the people want to build in our city, that the city gets something, not just a 1.8 acre park that's so condensed in a small area that nobody outside the community is going to go to. That's just the truth. It's not on the corner. It's not open. Doesn't have a baseball field, no basketball, no tennis court. Doesn't have anything. Just an open piece of grass. And I know there was discussion that Parks and Recs will work on that, but that's tiny. That's tiny. So I have a tough decision in front of me, but I'll digress to my council members.
Chair, if I may just jump in for a moment. The public staff does do the public noticing as well, and that does go out to all residents within 600 feet. We also advertise in the newspaper, and we do also post signs. So in terms of the public noticing, that is part of what staff does as well. So I just want to remind the commission that we do that as well. So I understand, the comments relative to the applicant and their outreach, but just as a reminder to the commission, we also do, staff also does public outreach consistent with our municipal code, which goes above and beyond state law.
What I can see is that within 600 feet, there isn't much there. So if they had to notify anybody, the wind, talk to the wind. But I just have an issue, and I'm the same way. I almost approve anything when it comes to apartment buildings or any kind of homes or things. But when I heard how big these lots are, I really was kind of thrown back. I was really shocked because I know that right by me, there's some that are 75 by 100, and I thought those were small. I thought those were really small. And I even named it Honey Hollow. I said, is it the Honey Hollow area? And they said, it's even smaller. I mean, what is it, 2,800 square feet? Some of those lots? They're pretty little.
Yeah, well, this is analogous to the project, the Beezer project over on Eucalyptus by the Walmart Supercenter across from Town Gate or whatever. Town Springs or Canyon Springs or whatever.
Weren't those apartment buildings though?
No,
No, they were homes.
they
I
look like
wasn't,
it, but they're houses.
But on those homes, they're up against a rock, and there's maybe what looks like 50. They were talking about 209. I think that's the biggest difference. Yeah, they are small lots, the same way.
small lots. I wasn't on the planning
No,
commission.
there's, just for clarification, that's about 200 units.
It's a lot.
That project's about 200 units. And again, this project is consistent with the downtown center as a periphery project. So I would note that for the commission's consideration. This is intended to be a periphery, and the intenser uses are actually intended to be towards the core.
Yeah, I would like to steer us toward deliberations for this project.
Well, I have some deliberations to deliberate.
Well, I just think that, I don't know, I wasn't on the dais for that one project. These just seemed so tight and small to me. I know people are hard pressed for buying a home. I don't know what the price range of these homes will be, but for the little bit they're getting, I hope they're getting a lot of bang for their buck, because I know that it's really a tough situation out there for a lot of people. I know, and just I'm kind of on the fence, really,
Well,
because there's going to be more. Let's just face it. This project's going to come in, and then there's a lot of vacant land out there. And once we approve something here, it's almost going to be hard pressed not to approve anything else. We set precedent with this.
So my 2 cents on that is I agree that, what's the old say, the camel gets the nose under the tent, and next thing you know, you got a hump next to your bed. So anyhow, but I think that this is I think the city and the general plan has done a move afoot to create a new downtown civic center, which is going to be there at Nason and Alessandro in that the Cottonwood Square, or whatever. I don't know what it's called, but at the end of the day, you have to have people to make it a vibrant downtown, so I would imagine that, you have the DR Horton tract that's already being built. Just, I don't know what size lots those are, but I think they're more traditional size lot that we're used to seeing. And it's going to transition into high density, multi-story type stuff as it gets into the downtown, based on if we're going to follow the general plan as a planning commission and a council. So I guess at the end of the day, I'm not fond of this. I wouldn't buy this kind of a product, but sorry. Oh, wait a minute. My son was just calling me. Sorry, son. I was hanging up. Hang on. Hit the wrong button. Anyhow, long story short is I personally don't care for this type of, I wouldn't live here, but there is a need for this kind of product, and the city has to meet its regional housing assessments. This is a step in that right direction. What the city does get, I will answer this, it's not getting your union jobs, perhaps for the carpenters union, but it will generate 206. It will generate 206 homes that will have shoppers. But let's say they sell these houses at 450,000. You're going to have another $92 million of property assessment, which the city will get somewhere out a tenth of a percent annually from that. So, it's close to $100,000 a year of additional property tax revenues at the city. Then that's unrestricted money to use for whatever. And then all these people will hopefully shop in Moreno Valley. So you will get, we got our 1% sales tax upon the top of the sales tax that we had. So there will be substantive dollars generated by having this. So I find it, I find it hard to argue against small lots because it really doesn't matter what size lot, because there could be 4 to 6, 8 units on every lot now because of SB9 or whatever it is. So, I mean, it's potato to, I don't even know why we even consider land use zoning anymore, except for compatibility, because people can densify and the city has no discretionary approval of it. It has to be administrative. So
Yeah,
anyhow, I'm off my box. I think
Yeah.
that's.
No, I
D.R.
understand
Horton
what you're
builds a good
saying,
project.
Sam.
I don't see a reason not to. approve
I
it.
understand what you're saying. I wouldn't, purchase but then one of my kids might. Kids just don't want to, nobody wants yard work anymore or the maintenance or anything like that. So it does serve a purpose. And it is going to be in the downtown area. I just hope that they will be
It'll be a
affordable.
cluster.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, really, I keep turning it every which way.
It'll be a cluster.
And then we're going to have a lot more of them. Okay. Like I said, I just wish they would have reached out, but who they're going to reach out to? The wind? Because like I said, 600 feet, there's nothing out there. So the next project will have to, I guess, reach out to their neighbors and see if they're going to be as generous. We got our patch of paradise and now you can't have yours. Okay. We've just kind of wrangled with it. I was just shocked, like I said, of the size. But like I said, if there was other ones that were approved, then we're not setting precedent.
If it gives you any hope, I have rental properties in a condo complex in Riverside, and it's a cluster. I mean, it's tight, but somehow everybody parks. It works. So this is one of those. I wouldn't want to live here. Hopefully, it's self-police, and the HOAs they'll write a lot of fine letters. So, but it takes somebody will take it a point when they live on N Street or whatever, and they hey. Get your car, and it usually self-corrects.
Okay. Yeah, I was concerned about how many units in such a small area, because it kind of lands to let's make as much money as we can and squeeze as many units as we can as possible, put as many bodies or sell as many homes as we can, and let's not think about actual life or living. The moment someone throws a party,
Everybody gets invited.
you get a bunch of cars there. You get 5 or 6 people that say we're having a party on the Saturday. There goes the parking. It's done. And so it just seems that we're just selling boxes. And that is a small bit of a concern. Oh. A question. Can we ask a question of staff, or do we have to reopen?
Yes,
Okay.
you do not have to re-up.
Okay. I'm sorry, Sean.
Okay.
I know I throw things at you, and I think about while I'm up here. And if you can't answer, that's fine. If someone can answer, we'll talk about it later. But what does this size community have impact on the school system nearby? That I see that La Jolla Elementary and Landmark Middle School right down the street. I'm assuming they're going to go to Vista del Lago for high school, but 200 plus homes. If we don't know how many kids are going to be there, but what do you know what kind of impact a community like this can have on the school system?
So I can't get into the details on what the impact will be on the school system. But one of the things that they do have to pay as part of this is they will have to pay a school impact fee as well. And that will be paid to the school district. And, they will be, that will help to offset the cost of facilities. They do an annual analysis actually of building permits in each city, in the city of Moreno Valley, for the school districts. And each of the school districts does that. They research our building permits and our processes, and they look at their fees and determine whether or not they're going to reassess them. They are a separate entity, so their opinion on this project, we didn't get anything from them relative to it. So I'm not going to speak on their behalf.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Yes, we notified them.
Commissioners? No. Well, if we're done with deliberations,
Make a motion.
Oh, there we go. Can we have a
Is
motion?
that what you
and
were
a
looking for there,
second?
Chair?
Yeah, I'm on that part. A
All
motion
righty
and a
then.
second. And if you make a motion,
Oh,
you have rewording. That
What's
was
that?
in the,
I
yeah.
think you can do it then.
Oh,
Yeah, no, yeah, for the,
yeah, there was rewording in the secret
all
document.
right, let me get the spectacles out again here. So I'd like to make a motion that the planning commission adopt resolution number 2022-35 and which would include modifications based on the California Department of Fish and Wildlife for the mitigation and monitoring reporting program. And that we also adopt resolution number 2022-36.
You have to include the rewording that the city agreed to the rewording and the secret.
Commissioner Sims did in his motion.
Okay.
It was, his statement relative to CDFW was appropriate, and he made motions for approval of both items, so we're good.
All right. Do I have a second? I'll second it.
We're still waiting on your vote, Commissioner Stefan.
Oh, you got to hit your button.
I like the moment of silence waiting. No.
On the side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even want to put it up there. So it's a regular.
All right, so the motion is approved. The other commissioner business. The next item again is other commissioner business.
Chair, we need to do the wrap up.
Oh, I didn't see that. Oh, the staff wrap up. Can we have the staff wrap up? I went right over that.
No problem. The action taken by the Planning Commission this evening is an appealable action. Any interested party that would like to file an appeal may do so within 10 days of the action. If an appeal is filed, it must be in writing and directed to the Community Development Director, stating the specific reason for the appeal along with the appeal filing fee. If any appeal is received, it will be agendized for a hearing before the City Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so at this time, other commissioner business, and it doesn't look like we have any other items at this time. Then we'll move on to staff comments. Do we have any staff comments at this
I
time?
have no comments this evening. Steve?
I'd just like to comment that, Mr. Commissioner Cobian has some very valid concerns about labor issues, and I know that's of particular interest of yours. Unfortunately, in the planning context, some of that stuff is not considered legally relevant, but nonetheless, I would encourage you to still express your opinion on those issues. The applicant has the right to address those or respond to them if the applicant chooses to. So I don't mean to in any way
it's fine,
discount
but
any
my
of your
decision
comments.
was not based at all on
Yeah.
labor issues.
That's fine.
The design, personally, I thought they could have done a better job with the design. Maybe one more go around. That's all I was asking for. I'm sure they would have came back in a couple months with a better plan, something that the city would have appreciated. They're not going to go away. They already bought the land, we know they're going to come back. I just think we got to stop rolling over. They can do a better job.
Any other staff comments? Okay,
Thank you.
all right. Planning commissioner comments.
I would like to hear the exciting report from our committee of the Rules and Regulations Committee. It probably nothing to report, but that would be nice if that, I can't imagine that being a multi-meeting effort, but if you could update on that. And just for my editorials, because I have a mic in front of me. This is a good example of densification, but I swear that it makes we can get ourselves all humped up about small lots and stuff like that. I don't think it really matters that much. It's because densification is allowed now. So it's, I know when I was a younger man, I used to slam out subdivisions. I quit when we did our first 4,200 or 4,500 square foot lot in Riverside. And it was all kind of real curvilinear streets. And I go, this is too hard, so I'm not going to do this anymore. But anyhow, I think this is, with the affordability and stuff like that, you're probably going to see more and more of this. It probably where you don't want to see it.
Chair and Vice Chair, you can share out if you'd like about the subcommittee, but we cannot have a discussion on it.
Ah, well, I can defer that to Commissioner Chen. No, actually, it was actually wonderful. And with my planning commissioner comment is that I do actually, I'll just reiterate that I'd like to see more training for planning commissioners, and maybe even if we had an annual review of the rules and policies and procedures for planning commissioners, so that we're all caught up to date each and every single year on the kind of the do's and don'ts and the yeses and more of and that sort of thing. And I do believe we were supposed to have 45 minutes for. I'll leave that alone. No, I don't have any other comments there. Oh, well, one more. No, one more. And absolutely, just thank you for our staff. Our staff is wonderful. It's late evenings for you guys. You work all day long. You get up at 5. You wait around for us to come along until 7 o'clock and hear us babble on for quite. And I see your eyes out there. It's a long day, but really thank you to the staff to continue to come to these meetings and give us your comments, and I greatly appreciate it. Absolutely.
Just real quick, most important thing that came out of that, and it was multi-meeting. We had 2 meetings on it, so but the most important thing is we're proposing a 6 p.m. start time instead of 7. So hopefully that gets done, and we don't have to look at each other past 8. Hopefully, So, and then just last thing, I remember we were here the night of the NFL draft, and I first in the city to say this is the Niners year. This was spring training started this week. So once again, go Niners.
Okay, if there aren't any other planning commissioner comments, I'd like to adjourn the planning commission meeting at 8:12 p.m. Until our next regular meeting on August 11th, 2022.